Okay, so ladies, if you are between 15, 16, and 25, 26, listen up. Okay, so I will have been married 3 times before I turn 30, God willing. So if there's anyone who has learned a lot about life and men at an early age, it's me. Okay. So in this video, I will be giving you 5 tips for setting your life up for success after age 25, 26-ish. I know when we are young, we feel like, sorry, y'all, I took a lot of notes because I got a lot of things to uncover. Um, and I'm going to try not to like drag it out at the same time. So yeah. Um, I know when we are young, we feel like we have all the time in the world to basically do BS. Living under Western culture, we can get caught up, tricked, and bamboozled into living life fast. But this can only lead to detrimental effects long term on your mind, your body, and ultimately your soul. So, like I had to tell one female I talked to that I barely even knew. Um, one second. Um, that I barely even knew, right? Being young is not an excuse to be stupid. But as my mom would always tell me, it's better to be a young fool than an old one. Okay? So, I am that friend that's going to give you the harsh reality along with lots of love and hype because it's what you need to hear. And living in balance is key. Sorry, I got my hair wet recently. And all right. Um, all right. Light then went out. Okay. Living in balance is key. No, my baby went out. I think it's gonna keep going out because I got it on bright, huh? Okay, hold on. I think it's gonna keep going out. Okay. It's okay. We're going to improvise. All right. No worries. Okay. There are so many people around the world who have far less than what we have, than what we are privileged to have here in the States, that do much more and are sometimes even more intelligent in the way in which they live life. Um, a way that is ultimately fulfilling, right? We see it all the time. These people that have way less than us, but are somehow just so full of joy and exuberance and just so happy with the little things, right? And I think that speaks volumes to the things that we're missing here in the West. So yeah, let's get into it. Because in the end, that's what this is really all about, living life fulfilled as women. You can have all the material in the world, but if you aren't fulfilled, what's the point? Which brings me to my first tip on or way you can set yourself up for success for the remainder of life if you are in this age range. So let's get into it. Tip number 1, study financial literacy. This is something I found out. This is something I found out really late, but it really opens your eyes to understanding money and just life as a whole differently. It can seem boring at first, but when you find out all of the opportunities that come with being financially literate and astute, you will really learn to appreciate life more and just how to have your priorities in line altogether. You'll naturally move and carry yourself differently, especially when it comes to the people you allow around yourself, because we are who we hang around, right? Right? Okay. How are you going to take your business seriously when you are never around business minded individuals? Like, can we be serious, sis? All right. So these are things that you really need to think about if you were not raised this way. If you are between 15, 16, 25, 26, take it from me. Do to number two. Do not focus on men. Yeah, I took it there. I'm a mother of two. Let me give you my spiel. Unless you come from a family that is already financially free, either already financially free, has close family ties, you grew up lacking little to nothing from your childhood, i.e., you got all the material you needed, not wanted, but needed. And you got the spiritual nourishment, for the most part from both mom and dad. You basically had minimum childhood wounds to work through, or your parents believe in arranged marriages as a whole. um if none of that applies to you, I do not recommend you get married during this age gap, this age range, right? And God forbid you become a baby mama like me. No shame, no shade, no shade, no shade, just all facts. Because if this video can only help just 10% of the people who watch it, then I've done my job. Marriage is and should be treated as an institution in and of itself. And you really have to think about your purpose, what you deserve out of life, what you owe to yourself, and therefore what your children deserve before you bring a child into the world. You have to be willing to be honest with yourself, which pretty much brings me to my next point. Tip number three, get to know yourself. You don't want to be almost 30 crashing into an identity crisis, right? Because you did no inner work, because you did no self reflection, because you fed into the Western culture, the values and beliefs that said, go, 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 go. Even though you're a woman, you should have to hustle too, like the men. You fell for the trap, right? You don't want to be heading into an identity crisis, because ultimately, if we keeping it a buck, that's how you become the bitter auntie or elder that hates on the young girls that are having their way, instead of being the auntie and elder that can give them even more game. First tip for getting to know yourself during this age would it be find ways to honor your inner child. I know society wants and needs us to constantly, like I said, Western culture, Western values and beliefs in the West, in the I'm not gonna say UK, but still there too. But especially in the US, right? We're always on this ticking clock. We gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta be here. Even after this video, I have to head back to the university to go to a evening class. Um, but yeah, that's another story. Um, you know, Society wants us to be moving at this fast pace 9 to 5, right? And suddenly take the necessary time out to smell the roses. Um, but I'm urging you to do everything you can to reject and resist this mechanism, because it is a trap. It is a trap. Okay? Um an example of honoring your inner child. For example, me right now, I'm honoring my inner child right now. Um when I was little, around 5, 4, 5, 6, I loved bonding with my cousins, and just I noticed that it really made me feel good when I would get dressed with my grandmother. We would get our hair, our nails, do our nails, get all dolled up, and she would either take me to the casino. Shout out to you, Delamaro. I love you forever in my heart. Mm. Love you. Oh my God. Did y'all see that heart that just happened? Okay. Okay, I hope y'all seeing this. This is wild. Okay, YouTube. But yeah, so that was a really big part of my journey growing up that actually made me feel good about myself. One of the few things actually, which is why and I'm saying this because I lost part of this, right? Um I got out of touch with what pleased my inner child, right? But as you can see, I'm stepping it up. I'm stepping out and stepping it up, okay? Um as women, one of our superpowers lies in our ability to be still, which helps to activate our womb centers. Okay? Because our wombs are essentially like generators, right? And this is why it is so easy to manipulate women as a collective when we are overstimulated, i.e., in that hustle and bustle, can't stop to smell the roses. In my opinion, women should have the freedom and luxury to stop and smell the roses every single day if that's what she wants to do. So just to give you a perspective of how unnatural it is for us to be living in the way that we do. But I know consumerism and capitalism needs apparently a working slave class. Another topic, but continuing on. This operating like this and not being still on a consistent basis to breathe and to focus on what we are attracting as women, since we are magnetic beings, right? um this leads us to not remaining focused on purpose driven work, right? I'm currently, even right now, in a fight to maintain focus on purpose driven work because, right, everybody and everything is constantly pulling at the woman and using us because as women, we are, as a resource, we are an ecosystem. Women are an ecosystem, right? um Everything revolves around us. But how it revolves around us is ultimately up to us. Okay. Okay. I found out recently from one of my mentors that as a woman, you can be either overly masculine or overly feminine. And it made all the sense because I was definitely becoming a victim of my own whims, right? Due to being overly feminine, which fed mainly my codependency issue, which was and is still is unhealthy. I'm currently working through that. I'm in counseling and everything. So once you are in a healthy place of balancement, as far as understanding how to best work with both of your masculine and feminine qualities about yourself, because it will vary from woman to woman. What one woman is good at from a feminine perspective could be better or less than the next woman, and same thing for the masculine regard, and that is okay. This is why you get sisters who are stronger in other qualities than you are. So you can nation build together. So once all of that is worked through, once you like um can go through those steps, if you could process them as steps, but life is, cyclical. Everything doesn't have to be linear, first this, then that. So I'm not gonna say steps. But once you can work through that, I want you to know that the right man, the right job, and all of the right opportunities will just flow into your life. I seriously, believe and know and feel that I'm entering that phase right now in my life, to where I'm just aligning to what is best for me and not anybody else. Because sometimes, and actually a lot of times, what's best for you is going to piss a lot of people off because of how you have to change to keep that flow into your life, because it requires boundaries. Um, you know, so other people cannot use you in certain ways that they would like, or that they would have been able to had you not made those changes, right? Um, you have to be committed to staying in alignment because the universe is constantly testing us because it's like, do you really want what you say you want? That's what it really boils down to. So be prepared for the test to maintain those goals, to maintain the thing that you ask for after you get it, right? Tip number four, focus on holistic wellness and womb health. I am a doula. I am a Reiki master or energy healer, if you will. And I like to call myself, even better than a doula, in my opinion, I like to call myself a holistic birth keeper, because I focus on community building practices, um, particularly as it relates to building cultural boundaries and barriers around indigenous work, i.e., African American. Um, but that's a whole nother subject we'll get into later down the road once y'all help me build this channel up. If you're watching this, please like, please share, and I know you subscribe, right? Okay, getting back into it. So your womb is like a brain center of its own, and if she is not happy, you are not healthy. If she is not healthy, you're not healthy. If she's not happy, you're not happy, period. As women, this is where we truly function from, when we are in our healthiest states. And this is our power. This is what the Salem witch trials were about. It's what I'm saying can easily be very political, but I'm going to tone it down. As women, this is where we truly function from. And being a doula with a mother who had ovarian cancer and a hysterectomy at that, this subject really hits home. So I urge you to take your womb health seriously by getting engrossed and enthralled with holistic wellness. I mean, it is the B's G's. I mean, what's better than being able to self-diagnose and self-heal, right? Um, so yeah. More on that later, of course. I urge you to connect with women who are into their herbs or take up a class and learn about them yourself. I personally, as an inspiring traditional midwife, I plan to down the road somewhere, somehow. I want to take a herbalism course with Essence the Herbalist. You can find her on Instagram. So that's where I will be going for my herbal course understanding. But of course, I know of a few being a doula, like red raspberry leaf, Damiana. I know about clove. Of course, I like to cook. So I know about all the good herbal spices. So yeah. Um Knowing this knowledge is key to living a wholesome life because herbs are literally God's or nature's pharmacy. And it makes adopting a fulfilling lifestyle that much easier when we can incorporate them into our daily lives. Um, Herbs have healing properties, and there are many ways we can use them to sum the power of herbs up, right? Again, nature's pharmacy. Let that sink in. But again, all of this has to be done in conjunction of a lifestyle of some sort. That is the key here. The lifestyle that you have to change to get rid of the cancer. The lifestyle that you have to adopt to reach your dream goals of the business, of the marriage, of the life, your dream lifestyle, okay? Period. There's no greater power than being able to self heal as a woman because when we master the art of healing ourselves, we are then able to heal our families with ease. And I don't know about you, but as a mother, as a maturing woman who is living in her purpose, nothing makes me more content and grateful for life than that information. Okay. That is, I mean, I don't know if it's just because it's in alignment with my purpose that I'm obsessed over it, but mm, I don't know. It just, for me, it makes life worth living. Um, So if you don't have at least one friend in your circle talking about womb wellness, herbs, and holistic living, I suggest you get out more. All right, that sums up tip number 4. And my last tip is dating is for marriage. If someone had a told me and gave me the game from this perspective, I could just cry thinking about where I would be, especially as it relates to my business right now. Okay? That's all I'm gonna say. Don't want to go there right now, okay? So yeah, if you are going to continue to date men, knowing he is not the one, or maybe you found out later he was the one after becoming sexually active, neem oil would be your best all natural birth control. Okay. It's a natural antibacterial herb. I've even used neem for as a natural insecticide. So if your garden, you know about neem oil already, or you should. Um, it is above all a natural spermicide. Um, Another pro tip is that a natural lube can be made using aloe vera. I saw this on Essence channel, Essence the Herbalist that I just mentioned, and I will try to link that video below for you all. But yeah, so I recommend putting in the neem after unprotected sex. I have used neem oil successfully for over 5 years since 2017 to be exact, so I know that it works. Okay. Um, Disclaimer though, it has a very repulsive, pungent, sulfur like smell. So, this is why I say use it afterwards immediately and not before sex. Unless you want to turn him and yourself off. So yeah. So now enough about practicing safe sex. Back to why dating should only be for marriage. Okay. Um, Again, I just learned about this concept within the past 6 months. Um, and it's about rotational dating, right? And rotational dating is something a woman steps into once she's got her life together. So again, balancing out your feminine, your masculine, knowing what you don't like, knowing what you do like, knowing what you want out of a husband, what you want him to value, what you value, right? Once you've worked through all those kinks throughout these years, it's like, okay, you're ready to bring in the next generation and give back to the earth through a brilliant child, right? So let's get into it. Um, Back to the financial literacy topic. When you are in tune with your purpose and know you have goals and things to lose, and perhaps know what type of legacy you want to leave for your children, i.e., the work I just mentioned, you're not gonna just want to share your mind, body, and soul with just anybody, any person. Okay, you just again, you're gonna move differently. You're gonna walk differently. You're gonna think of yourself differently. You're gonna be want to be around people, places, and things that reinforces this newfound brilliance that you know and believe about yourself, right? So, um, you're gonna live life in a different frame of mind, right? um Rotational dating is where you get to know, these men. You don't go over their houses. You let them wine and dine you. You let them you get to know them. You assess what are his values. Could I see myself with him, right? And you do not sleep with them. And you go on however many dates can fit in your schedule, right? Because why? You're dating with a goal in mind, which is to get married, which is to um continue this man's lineage. You are um fueling the next generation, and that is a big job, right? It was at one point in history where being a parent was like above any occupation you could have held outside of the household. Being a parent was the most honorable thing at one point in humanity. And I don't know, I'm ready to bring that back. But anyhow, shall we continue? Yes, we shall. Okay. So, um, and I know most of us weren't raised to think like this per se, but I am here to always give you the alternative of what life could be like instead. Let my life be the testimony, okay? Okay. Because after all, everyone's current reality is ultimately a sum total of how they came into this world from the parents they chose in the cosmos, somehow, some way, and the sum total of the decisions that we have made thus far in life, right? Put those two together, and that is our current reality, right? And I know, I do believe that somehow, some way, for whatever karmic reasons, we do choose the particular parents that we have. And I don't know, that is a belief that I'm willing to accept. Of course, personal to me. But yeah. Um I think I'm gonna put my hair up for the remainder of the day. But okay. One second. Okay. So, when you think and live life along these terms, you inherently begin to understand the importance of not letting just any man inside of your body, especially if you're working out, eating healthy, etc., like we just talked about. You don't want to be sleeping with a man who can only drain you and not give back to you in some energetic way through sex, because whether he's able to give you energy or not, he will be taking your life's essence through sex. This is how powerful sex is. It is like a kundalini energetic exchange, right? Um, if you're not focused on that, then you're literally going effing crazy during the act, right? Which is why we get into these toxic scenarios. And God forbid, after you bring a child into the scenario, it's like, what am I doing with my life? Exactly. So this is why your big sister Nia is here to remind you of the standards you should maintain and keep, and therefore the girlfriends that you should have around you, reminding you to keep those standards, because that is equally as important as finding the right man. Having good wholesome friends around you that are growth focused, elevation focused. All right. All right. You don't want to be sleeping with a man who can only, or I already said that, sorry. But the point of all of that was because whether he is able to give you that good energy exchange back or not, men are going to take the energy from you regardless, because that's just the nature of how sex works altogether, right? But we want to make sure that we're sleeping with men that are making us feel empowered, that we feel good about ourselves when we are done with the act, right? That's the point there. And so when you learn to place value on your energy, your body, your mind, your soul, you see the value in marriage being a contract and the importance of putting things on paper, because marriage was really designed for the protection of the child, right? To ensure the child has a secure environment to be raised in, to make sure that the child involved has the best start in life, right? But as Black people, really indigenous people, our culture was stripped from us, right? So we kind of missed the boat in a lot of ways of looking at marriage as like an institution of itself, because we've been through generations of mental slavery right here in our own land. And this is why I support Palestine 100%. And once again, I'm getting off topic. Let me bring it back. So right, marriage is for bringing a child in the best possible scenario, right? And when you value yourself, you're gonna value and take note of what type of environment and what type of lifestyle you're giving to a child, right? Um, right. You want commitment. You want more commitment from a man than the government making him pay you some fixed amount of money, because it takes more than money to raise a wholesome child, right? And again, this is why it takes a village, because God may take your husband, but if you are surrounded by strong, like-minded women who have husbands, your child still has that masculine example in his life somewhere, or if you have strong men in your immediate family, right? So you want commitment, right? To sum that up. And Beyonce said it best. Marriage and this kind of love is big business, baby. Okay, marriage and love done righteously is big business, ladies. Okay, and I think we sense it. Everybody wants to be in a relationship, or not, which is fine. But marriage is bigger than a relationship. It is business. It is contractual. Um, and this is why a lot of people, are like, oh, we can do the whole ceremony thing, but we don't want nothing on paper. But you do want something on paper when you're ready to have a child and do something as serious as that, is bring babies into the world. We got to reframe our thinking, because marriage is one of the key ways to build and maintain and pass down wealth. Okay, and this is where I want my ladies to be redirecting our energy and our focus towards moving into this new era of time. So yeah. Um, this is why the Rockefellers and other high-end wealthy families were able to stay wealthy for so long, because they understand life from a very different perspective than how they want most of us to. Again, this is not for everyone, but I am speaking to my target audience, to where even if you know marriage perhaps it's not for you, you could still participate in programs of such that could perhaps teach our young girls these things, because if you had a daughter, you would want her at least exposed to this type of information, even if it just meant learning to value her body more, right? Or and to sleep at the bare minimum. At the bare minimum, this is just at the bare minimum, with a man who can provide in some significant way more than what she can at least provide for herself. Not just some trips to some fancy hotel and restaurants. You know what I'm saying? You're worth more than that, goddess. You are worth so much more than that, when you look at the grand scheme of what's happening through sex. And again, but this is all has to come from you cultivating a sense of self, being in tune with your purpose, um being able to relate with other women who have different purposes, and being able to play off of that and work together. This comes after accumulation of those skills in life, those hard and soft skills, both professional related and non-professional related, honestly. So more on this later, but that ultimately concludes my message to my ladies that are between 15, 16, 25, 26. If anything that I said has resonated or hits home for you, please don't hesitate to like, share, and please subscribe and comment, if you will, if you have any video requests, or if you like anything I said. So that'll be all. Until next time.